Well, it's gonna have to get stable. Damn internet connection.
It's time for the Fantasy MMA Weekly Podcast, brought to you by MMA Torch, your independent source for all things MMA. Now, here are your hosts, MMA Torch's own Sean Covington and Internet Dungeon Master Frankie Swad. Sorry about that, my friend. I jumped the gun and I saw you were still talking, and I got such bad hearing at this point in my life that I screwed that up, brother. I do apologize, Sean.
Oh no, it's all good. You didn't mess nothing up.
And last time we did it damn pretty good. So welcome everybody to the weekly fantasy MMA. I think that's what it's called. It's just kind of popped in.
We're working out the bugs.
It's
Fantasy
I'm going to
MMA
tell you
Week.
right now, Sean, it absolutely, this is going to be dangerous for me. And let me give you an example why right now, okay? Last week was pretty cool. You know, I told you Bruce Leroy was going to take him out. I told you. I saw it. I saw the writing on the wall. But I also thought that the main event would be a lot like the one the week before, and it was nothing like it. So that fight cost me in my action. But it was a lot of fun because we're only doing it for fun. And if you're not having fun doing it, then don't do it. But anyways, what I was going to say is this morning I woke up at 6 in the morning, and, man, I tell you what, I work during the week, and I have to drive into town now because I'm living out in the middle of rural Northern California. So to get to my city to work, I got to drive like half hour. So I've been getting up early. And so this morning I wake up at my usual prior to 6 in the morning thing. And I'm like, oh, man, you know, today's my only day I get to sleep in. And then I'm going to be going straight to the second podcast for MMA Torch. Let's do this. And sure as heck, I had one eye closed, and I said, you know, let me look at that UFC card again today real quick because maybe I'll have some premonitions while I'm sleeping for another 2 hours as to what's going to happen. And with one eye open, I look on my phone and I go to UFC.com and look at the lineup. And I'm looking and I go, wow, this main event card is really nice. But, man, where's Jan versus Israel? You know, I'm like, where's that? And I go, holy crap, this is just the prelims. I forgot how stacked this card is. I'm like, ah! And I start, like, I immediately wake up and I'm looking at this thing going, I got to do a video in a bit, you know. And I was like, it's such a good card. It looks like such a good card on paper.
Well, I'm not picking any prelim fights. I'm gonna tell you that. Just those are too close to call for me. I mean,
there's some really amazingly fun looking preliminaries to throw into your DraftKings fantasy MMA lineup today. And the cool thing is that and I have always found that some of the earlier fights are the ones that are easier to call that somebody's going to get knocked out. I mean, once you get to a certain echelon of fighter, they can take those hits where when you're in the prelims, there's going to be people that they either do the knocking out or they take the knockout. So sometimes it can be easier to call, and we'll maybe get into that a little bit today. I don't know how long we're going to roll because we really want to get this up because one thing before we get started, right now on DraftKings, you can get in there and play for free. Modelo has a really cool free it's unlimited, so you can get in there and jump in and put together your card. But it's a good way to try it out, and you can actually win money. I think they got like $5,000 up there right now in prizes for people that give it a shot and try it out. Now, again, this is all for fun. We do this for fun. We're not professional gamblers, nothing like that. We're huge MMA fans. We're huge wrestling fans. Sean and I have known each other for a long, long time, and it's really cool that he's been able to hook up with MMA Torch, and we've been able to share some of our love of what we watch and do on here and with all of you. And hopefully there are some of you out there that love doing this too. I mean, I got, this 3 weeks in a row of these cards, I've got people coming over and we just sit there on our phones and make bets prior to the fights. And we play some action and we watch these fights and then just laugh at each other when we're right or wrong. And it's been a lot of fun. There's some really crazy Vegas type special calls today that you can put money on, like all the underdogs that are in championship fights, you can bet that and get a plus, 1,000 or 1,200 to your money. Because,
That's what I'm
obviously
looking
they're
at.
dogs. So, I mean, you can do those right now, and it's like, that's sick. I mean, that's all knockouts, and then that's going to give you a plus something because you're expecting that, all, like one of them is all the fights on the main card end in a knockout or a TKO, and you get a bonus of, huge amounts of money because it's going to be hard to hit that. So, they give you better money if that does hit. So those kind of things are going on around. So it's a lot of fun. This is a big card, and it starts early. It's going to start at like 2:15 Pacific Standard Time, I believe, because there's so many
I'm
fights
betting it
on
all,
there.
man. I got $35 left. By the way, last week I lost everything. I was completely wrong
Did you?
on everything.
Oh, shoot.
Oh yeah. So me and DraftKings got a little bit of beef. We just do. I'm not. I know we might want to work closely with them one day, but today is not that day for me. But everybody else should. Here's the thing.
I'm rolling. I got a line. I got 4 lineups I got to set up today.
I'm kind of glad it happened like that. Because people will say, "Oh man, you guys are just making money," and it's like, no, I didn't make shit. I am thoroughly disappointed. However, that doesn't mean I'm not gonna gamble this weekend. In a couple of hours, we gonna see what's really up because I'm betting it all.
Right.
Megan Anderson, I'm counting on you. Actually, she's gonna have a great story if she actually does the unthinkable, the impossible. So, and I'm a sucker for stories. You and I, we both watch pro wrestling, love it. So, if that happens,
yes,
I'm rooting for her actually because it's not gonna hurt Amanda Nunes at all if she loses.
Right.
So
no. Let me tell you that, and my wife watches mixed martial arts. She's went to UFC with me many times. She's watched it because we're together. We've been together for 30 years or more than that. So she knows a lot of the fighters. She has her favorite fighters, just like she loves boxing as well. She's into wrestling. I mean, we've connected with those things besides other things like our love of heavy metal music and stuff like that. So anyways, she even caught wind because she knew that we were going to be doing this podcast because we spoke about doing this podcast like almost a month ago. Maybe it was about 3 weeks ago, but at least 3-4 months ago weeks ago we spoke about doing this one maybe even being our first for this card. So my wife even found Megan Anderson, like literally she's like, that girl that's fighting, she said, Nunes, she's like, is she like really a badass? Because I've been reading a lot about her and I've been, seeing things about her, and she looks like she's pretty big. And it's like,
yep.
My wife catching that is like, that means that they're doing something right out there and getting the word out about these fights. Because even my wife's compelled, and it's usually myself doing the talking if that's going to, unless it's, back in the day, Anderson Silva, she would know something about him, in a fight because that was her favorite fighter at one point. But anyway, she even was hearing about him, Megan Anderson. So the UFC's doing something right, and I'm really excited about this card. And I think that fight's going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be a good challenge for both sides.
If there's going to be a shock, it's going to be in that one because the other two contenders are just it's a different. They're closer in levels. Megan Anderson is not really that close, but here's the thing: that's where the X factor really lines up. She has a puncher's chance, and she's bigger. So we're thinking that puncher's chance is going to be heavily in her favor. She has a better puncher's chance than anyone else, so that's why I'm gonna bet on her.
Right. So my question with that is then, and this is just asking you. If that's the case, would you not say that the Israel Adesanya Jan Blachowicz fight is a lot the same there? Because would you not say that Jan has a better puncher's? Doesn't he have a puncher's chance?
I don't think he has a better
Adesanya?
Because he has less of a chance of landing it because Israel Adesanya knows what he's capable of. Megan Anderson still kind of like no one expects it out of her. It's not that anybody's they're not expecting it out of her like we're expecting it out of Jan. Didn't he have 4 knockouts in his last 4 fights at least? That's at least.
Yeah, at least. Yeah, no, at least a couple. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, we're expecting a dynamite right hand from him to knock somebody out.
Right. So we've got
For Megan Anderson,
the prior knowledge that's what his chance is.
With her,
but you still have that chance though, because there can be a wild shot. You never know.
Sure. But like I would expect that to happen. I'm kind of half expecting it. We're half expect that to happen. That happened with Megan Anderson. No, we won't expect that over Amanda Nunes too. It's not like people can't hit.
No. People
Cyborg hit her.
Some harder. Yeah.
Cyborg is hit her. Holly Holm is hit her.
Yes.
You're with some really good shots.
Yeah.
So she can get hit, and Holly Holm was bigger and stronger too, to be honest.
Yeah.
Durandamy was hitting her with some hard shots. And here's the thing: I don't think Megan Anderson is anywhere better than any of those people. I do think Rashid has a better chance though, it's because she's less skilled than them. Because you're not thinking your skill level. She's not training for Megan Anderson as if it's one of those people. Right. And I'm not saying she's taking her for granted or lightly. I'm just saying it's very different. Like if I go up against John Jones, I'm gonna be a heavy underdog. However, I'm not gonna come in there and fight John Jones like Daniel Cormier has. So it's not going to be the same fight at all. It's just anybody. If anyone, a non-fighter fights John Jones, they bet on him. Why not? What? It's going to cost you $100? That's fine. What if he does the impossible? Who cares? I
understand. I understand what you're coming from.
More bang for your buck, man.
Right. So you don't have any back and forth in regards to any of the like the prelims, not the earliest prelims, but like this is an amazingly good fight. I think Dominic Cruz versus Casey Kenny.
Yeah, I would probably bet against Cruz too, to be honest. I mean,
he's the dog right now. It shows that he's the dog. At least like the Vegas type odds, he's the dog. They're very even in like reach and height and stuff like that. They both go usually 50% of the time or more, they go to decision. The big difference is that one knocks people out, and when he does, and the other one does submissions. Now, does Casey Kenny look to smother Dominic Cruz and try to keep him against the cage and pound him up against there? Is that where he's going to keep him so Dominic isn't able to do his moving and hitting, and
he won't be able to do that? That's a loss.
That will be the problem there, because
if he tries to lock down Dominic Cruz, he's going to get his ass whooped. You have to fight him in open space. You just have to give him really bad looks at what he wants. Like just don't give him what he wants. That's all. Fight him in open space. Give him that, but don't give him good looks. Like you got to watch that Cody Garbrandt fight when he took the belt from Cruz. That's how you fight him. You have to fight him in open space. You try to trap him, and he's whooping your ass. Like he's gonna beat your ass if you try to trap him. So I don't think he's gonna try to smother him at all. I mean, well, I don't know what he's gonna try to do. But that is a losing strategy. Unless Dominic Cruz is old, and he might be. I would bet against Dominic Cruz because he doesn't fight consistently enough. And at some point, you're gonna get, he lost his last fight, so at some point you're gonna get old, and not fighting consistently is gonna be a big problem for you. And I think this might be the time.
Right. Yeah, that's my big question is Casey Kenny going to try to get him against the cage instead of keeping him at distance, because that's where Dominic Cruz is going to be better, potentially quicker. He's got a better touch because obviously he's got more knockouts. I believe he's got more knockouts. I should check that before I say it, but I believe he does. And then Casey has more submissions. So I think that this is where we will see it if Dominic's gotten old, because remember he's had injuries to where he doesn't have the wear and tear of some of the other guys on him, but the body can wear and tear without having injuries.
Right? He works hard.
Some people get old, and but
Ken Griffey Jr. syndrome. If you want to compete at a high level, your body's just going to break down. Like Ken Griffey Jr. continued to be great. And as he got older, his body's broke down quicker because he was still performing at an elite level. So, Dominic Cruz is the same way. So his body won't hold up. He's almost like Derrick Rose. Almost. He's accomplished more because he's had more of a longer career, but more longevity. But he's essentially Derrick Rose, though, if we think about it. Still,
So DraftKings has this. Just a note. DraftKings has this fight even at each fighter being a value at 8,100. So they're really expecting this. To them, this fight's a complete toss-up. Where in Vegas, there's just a slight edge for Casey Kenny. This is one thing about DraftKings when you're playing in there and you're looking to get some action of this type. One of the things that you want to watch for is it's not necessarily. There's two things you want to look for. One, you don't have to win the fight to get good points. Like if you pick a dog and they don't win, but they kept up, you still get good points for a dog there. Now, obviously, you'd love to have the dog get the knockout because that's ultimately the best points or the submission. But if you have a dog that's not too expensive and they still turn over some good points, that's better than not getting that. So you have to look at this in a different mind frame. It's not just the winners, which that's ultimately great, but it's going to be hard to pick 6 knockout winners. Now there's 15 fights on this card, so you've got a lot of opportunities this time when you're putting together your team, if you will, or your stable for tonight's card. So that's something to pay attention to, because a lot of people just go, oh, man, I don't know if I knew this fight because I don't know who's going to win. It's like, well, if they're throwing down a lot, you're still going to get a bunch of points, and so that dog that's throwing down a lot is still going to be of great value. So you got to look at that when you're doing this type of action. I'm just going to go. I'm looking over it and seeing if what Bovada's got to say about this fight real quick, because they have things updated quicker. Yeah, they've got Kenny Casey at a negative 135 and a plus 105 for Dominic. So that's pretty close to what they're showing on the UFC page.
They got $1 million prize.
Yeah, they got. Oh yeah, in DraftKings they got $1 million going on tonight.
They got $20 entry fee. Looks like I'm throwing away some damn money.
You said you were going to do that tonight, bro.
Hell yeah, I'm throwing that. I'm $20 gone. It ain't my money anymore. It's not my money yet, so I'm fine. I spent all the DraftKings money almost, but like
right. No, that's.
I got $25 of mine that I need to spend, and it's gone. So
right.
Don't follow what I'm doing, guys.
Right.
Don't follow me. I don't think this is going to be good.
Right. So I'm going to take Dominic Cruz on DraftKings. He's only 8,100, and I think that those two together are going to throw a lot. My only concern is if I think this fight will go to a decision, and so I think both will be able to get points unless. Like I said, unless Casey's just going to try to smother him against the cage, and then there might not be many points at all, because there aren't as many points given to you for that kind of stuff on DraftKings as much, although you will get some points for minutes in the grasp and stuff like that, or in control, as they call it. Here's the next one I was going to bring up to you, and this is on the main card. It's the first fight on the main card. Thagia Santos, who I love that fighter. I love him. And he's going against Alexander Rakic. This, to me, is a bit compelling. We have a 13-2. He's the 4th ranked versus, Thagia Santos has been, he always does great. And then when he gets a chance to get the belt, he just doesn't take that last step. Unfortunately, he can't get over that hump. But I think this is an interesting fight, because both guys, they go to decision less than 25% of the time. That means this is a good chance to get a knockout type win in DraftKings. And Rakic is an 8,600 to buy, and Thagia Santos is 7,600, which is, it's just cheap. And
I was just looking at that fight. Yeah, like that's crazy.
And I'm looking. Yeah, my thing about this is that, to me, they're both like, they're not going to probably one's not going to try to take the other one down. I don't think. They're both very low on how many times they beat somebody by sub. I think maybe 1 or 2 each, looking at the numbers, but. They both have over 70% knockout ratio when they win, so that's how they win. And the thing is that I believe Thagia Santos has, he's the vet, but he's fought such a higher level of competition than the number 4 that I believe that Taguio Santos, his experience is going to allow him to win this fight. That's just my belief, but I'm willing
knockout.
I mean,
I'm going with
just
Thiago Santos.
I think he's
knocking
knock
that ass out.
Yeah,
yep.
I think so. I think that's what he's going to do, and he's a dog right now. And I'm going over to knocking on Vegas's door before this day's done and the card starts, because when he walks out, that action will be placed on Taguio Santos.
I picked all dogs, baby. Went in a $20 joint, picked all dogs. So we gonna see. Last time that didn't work out, but like I said, when it's a fight night, picking dogs isn't gonna help you at all. Like they're generally gonna go the way they should go.
Right. So I got a quick story that I will tell you about dogs. When I first began watching UFC and doing this, I religiously
hold on 1 second, Frankie. I gotta pause it. 1 second. Continue. Sorry.
Oh yeah. So anyways, I have to go. I mean, I got to go with Taguio, and I can't see throwing down. I can't see him not his experience just sticking out and like a sore thumb and making it happen.
No, I can see him losing though, because he did get knocked out in this last fight.
No, he
TKO,
he can take,
right?
I just don't think that he's got the wear and tear of a Junior Dos Santos, for example. Junior Dos Santos has been in so many big wars now that when if he gets a good shot on him, he's toast. I mean, it's just, I think he's probably got a worse chin than Andre Arlovski right now. I love Andre Arlovski. Okay, he's one of my favorites. But man, he's just been in so many wars, man. I mean, he can still take a shot. I've seen him take some, but not Junior Dos Santos, man. Unfortunately.
You mean Thiago Santos?
That's who's fighting tonight. Yes.
Right,
no,
right.
Junior Dos Santos.
All right. I
the
see
heavyweight.
Yeah.
When he gets nailed now, he goes down. He's just been in too many wars. Would you not agree?
No, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So I just I mean, that's my hallucination. That's what I believe. So anyways, I got Taguio for sure on that. I like that a lot. I think his experience is going to pull him through, and he'll keep his number 2 ranking. So let's go to the main card. Which of the main cards do you want to throw out? Because I don't want to. We can't be too long here because people need to go out there and get on that free DraftKings. I mean, it's out there.
Well, man, they're all underdogs. I would say the one that's the lead that's probably going to be the closest is Peter Yan, Piotr Yan, and Aljamain Sterling. I don't think I think that one's the one you may not want to bet on the dog. I'm betting on all dogs because it's going to be the closest. It's going to be the card where all the dogs can actually make upsets. These are really skilled guys. And although they might be a level below, they're not so bad to where they can't make up that difference. Maybe Megan Anderson, but whatever. My point, they're all professionals, man. Somebody kid's going to get that ass knocked out. One of these, there will be, I'm going to predict there's going to be 2 belt changes. 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3.
Wow.
2 out of 3. I think Jan keeps his, and I think Megan Anderson does the unthinkable, and I think Jan probably just ends up getting TKO'd or KO'd. He's not going to see a head kick coming, man. Like people take Izzy's fight style for granted. He's extremely precise, and it doesn't matter how big you are, man. Like look at Paulo Costa. Everybody thought Paulo Costa was just going to dominate him, and that did not happen. Like, and I get it. Paulo Costa's he's not the same guy as Jan, but like that's the point. He's not the same fighter, you know. Like but he still has the same body type. It doesn't matter if you're the same fighter or not. If you're still locked into a style, you're going to have problems with Israel Adesanya. And that's why he calls himself the last style bender. Although he doesn't really bend any styles, but you can't bend any styles against him. You know, your style can't wrap around his. You know, if you're a striker, he's going to, if you're Kelvin Gastelum, you know, he's going to strike with you, and you're not going to expect him to outstrike you, but then you're going to be the one bloody and battered at the end of it. So,
yeah, he's got great accuracy. Punchers with accuracy are dangerous. They don't have to just hook and get lucky.
Yep, and that's a big problem. That's going to be the big problem. See, Reyes needed that. He needed to get lucky. Reyes is a good fighter, but he needed to get lucky against Jan Blachowicz, and he couldn't. He wasn't going to get lucky, and that's when he started throwing those shots out there, and he caught one. So Jan doesn't need to get lucky necessarily, but he needs to be a lot luckier than Israel Adesanya. Right. So
we know the interesting thing that I've noticed to go along with what you just said was lately in the last year I've noticed. Excuse me. One of the things I've noticed is that fighters, they get to a spot where they just go, you know what? I'm just going to throw this out the window because what I'm doing is keeping this other person still here. And then they just walk them down and hold on to their head and knock them with some elbows. Like literally they're walking through shots. They're not even dancing. They're not doing any boxing. They're literally walking in, taking a shot, grab it onto the person, and just overwilling them and winning that way. You know, after a 2 rounds of let's dance around, let's look good, and let's really like do the sport. Like they're just walking them down like as if they were a wrestler or something. And
I can see that happen.
Yeah, well, I've seen it. Like it's amazing how many I see. I used to see that a little bit, but I'm really seeing blatant. Like, oh gosh, what was the fight? I'm trying to think of the one that was so blatant. This guy literally, and he was supposed to win. He was the favorite, and he was fighting the guy, and the guy was getting good shots in when they were trading back and forth. And it was like, I think it was the 4th round because it was the main event, and the fighter just came out, and you could watch it. He just walked through the fight. He didn't do any dancing or nothing. He walked through the 2 punches, grabbed the guy, and just took him out within a minute or 2. I mean, he overwhelmed him at one point and just said, you know what, so no more of this dancing. I'm just going to be the man and walk in there, take the shots, and I know my shots are going to be bigger, and they were. And it was really impressive because, you know, the person wasn't moving or anything. He just walked right in and said, I'm going to use my will over this person's will only. No technique. It's just going to be pure power and will. I'll take his shots, and I'm going to knock him out with what I got. Crazy stuff, man.
The people who are the favorites on this card, though, you do that and you're knocked out. You're gone.
No, I agree. I agree.
You do that shit.
No. You don't want to do that to Israel Adesanya. He's gonna.
Hell no, because he's gonna drill you with a head kick, and you're like, "Fuck." No one ever expects a head kick to come up that accurate and right in your chin. Ever. Right up here, you're not expecting it. Even him, you don't expect it because you're not trained for it. Nobody does that. That's not something that happens that you just catch random kicks higher than your damn head. You know what I'm saying? You don't do that in practice. So when it happens, and it will in this fight, unless Jan just knocks him out almost immediately. When he catches a head kick, if he's walking forward, the problem with walking forward, if you take a step back or 2 steps back, that's it. Right. They know they got you. They know you cannot do that. You can't sustain it. And if it's if you can't sustain it, then it's going to be lights out for you because you've already used it all. Daniel Cormier, that's what he was doing to Stipe in the 2nd fight or 3rd fight.
Right.
And he couldn't sustain it, man. He just couldn't because Stipe had already weathered the storm and Cormier's cardio wasn't up to par. So, who do you, let me ask you this. Who are your picks for the big 3 title fights?
I was just
who you going to put that money on?
Okay, so here's my hallucination. Jan versus Sterling. Here's what I like about Sterling. Sterling is a guy who likes to submit. He likes to go in and he likes to get in there and get dirty against the cage, get you down on the ground type thing. But he's got a 42% chance of subbing you with submission in your match. In his match, that's 42% of his fights or victories by submission. So that's or his wins are by submission, 42%. So that's what he likes to do, and he's got a 4-inch reach advantage, which means he's got advantage when he's trying to grab Peter Yan.
Right.
So that to me, I would love to swing because I always look for that. If a fighter is a guy against the wall or a guy on the throwing you down the ground, submission wrestler type guy, grappling type guy, he's got to have a better reach, and he's got a significant advantage with his grappling. And the other thing is I look for height. Now, they are the same height, I believe, so that part means that there's a little bit more of an evenness there.
I thought Aljamain had him by like an inch or 2. I mean, I don't know how much an inch or two would really matter.
I
thought he
UFC
had him
has
at
him
like yeah.
UFC has them as even at 5'7" each. So you got a 4-inch reach advantage, and but Aljamain Sterling isn't. I mean, he's not known for knockout. I mean, that doesn't mean he can't have accuracy.
He got hands. He's got hands.
Yeah. So if he can jab. And make Peter kind of back up when Peter's coming forward and looking for bombs. If he can keep that jab in his face, that can get him to do those extra blinks, and that gives you a split second to get in there and get close, and then you're doing what Aljamain Sterling wants to do, which is, at least in my opinion, he's going to want to smother some of what Peter Yan can do up against there. I mean, if he does submissions, he's going to want to try to get him on the ground if he can too. And,
I don't know if that's smart. See, Yan is not a slouch on the ground whatsoever. Here's the thing: if you can get him there. If you can get him there, it's not like it's Conor McGregor. Like, here's the thing:
my point is though is if you can get Peter Yan up against the cage, that's a better position for Aljamain Sterling. To me, than having him just stand there against each other, where Aljamain Sterling does not have his numbers don't show that's where he wins. Right.
Here's where this fight I think is going to go. Here's the way I think it's going to go. Aljamain Sterling reminds me of someone that Piotr Yan fought, and that's Uriah Faber. He reminds me a lot of Uriah Faber in his style, just in what he can do and his athleticism. And that's gonna end up getting his ass knocked out because he's fast and he relies on it. That's a problem in that speed. You're gonna stop being fast at some point. Your speed's gonna get you into something that you can get into speed traps with fighters. And once you get that's what Uriah Faber was getting into. He was trying to get in, get out, and this shit was not happening.
Right.
He would get in and that speed trap would hit him and he couldn't get out of it without catching a couple punches. And Yan can put you to fucking sleep. People are really sleeping on him. Like, oh, who'd he really beat? I was like, man, he beat Faber and Aldo. Like, yeah, I shit on Faber all the time, but I didn't say I do say he's trash. But that's in an MMA sense.
That level's trash, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. Point being is like he's not the same guy. And I even question how great he really was. He's not a goddamn pushover. Okay. Like it's still Uriah Faber. As much shit as I've talked about him, I'm not gonna come in there and just take him lightly. I'm not doing that.
No,
I never said take Uriah Faber lightly. I said he's fool's gold. He's not what we thought he was. But at no point should you think he can't fuck you up. And same thing with Aljamain Sterling. I think Aljamain Sterling's a little bit too overconfident. He needs to be a little bit more tactical in his approach and shut the fuck up. If he goes in there and just thinks, hey man, I got this, remain aggressive, I think he can pull off an upset. But nope, he's probably gonna be like Uriah and headstrong and get his ass knocked out. That's what I'm thinking as an analyst. I'm putting my money on Sterling though, because that's what the money is on Sterling, on the dog.
Right. Yeah, so I think in this fight the outcome will most likely be Peter Yan catching Aljamain Sterling coming in.
So that's where your money is.
That's So the only way I bet Aljamain Sterling is when I knock on the door in LV. I would place a bet that Aljamain Sterling wins by submission.
Okay,
that would be the money I would put on because you're going to get a better odds. So if you do win, you make more money. So that's where I would play the game, just to see because that's where I think if he does win, it would be by submission. That's just my thought.
I think knockout. I think different. Yeah. I think it'd be knockout. I think he needs a different game plan, and he cannot do
right. Yeah. I'm just going by going by the data that things I've watched. So yeah. So
I'm betting knockout on everybody. Everybody's getting knocked out. Everybody.
That'll be a great card. I mean, a great way to end the card. So let's go to Megan Anderson versus Amanda Nunes. So TKO. We've got right now the tangibles. We got 6 foot versus 5'8". They're a different weight class type. They both fight at a little bit different weight at times, so that may be a little bit of an issue. There's a 3-inch reach advantage for Megan Anderson. She's got a couple inch longer legs.
Yeah, but I don't think she got hands like that though. She gotta have the hands for that advantage. So
But when you're going against Amanda Nunes, you're going against like a tornado or something, like the Tasmanian devil, that cartoon where it's like, wow.
I hope she's ready, man, because she's gonna try to knock her the fuck out. And
this is again one of the fun things about with DraftKings is, again, this is a fight where both fighters have a 20% chance or more, or 20% or less possibility of going to the card so far in their careers. So someone's going down. I mean, very, very. That's good, because in DraftKings you're trying to pick who's going to get that bomb, who's going to get that submission. So, Megan Anderson, I don't remember how many fights she's actually had in the UFC. I'm looking right now.
All that matters is this one.
I'll
literally
tell you what,
from this point on.
You're right. She's got a 2-fight win streak. 6 of her wins have been by knockout, 3 by submission, so she can do a little bit of both. And she's had shows. I see one fight that she lost in the UFC. She also lost to Holly Holm by decision. But
that's a bad one. That's a bad one to lose.
Kat Zingano go by a first round knockout.
Zingano's gone.
Yeah, and so you know what? She's lost. She lost a submission fight. And also in UFC by submission, and she lost to Holly Holm by decision. But she's had couple wins by knockout, technical knockout.
It was good. The Holly Holm fight was good that it went to decision. It was, because Holly Holm's the standard. If you can't stay in there with her, and she's faced every champion, then you don't need to be fighting at all. Not on a championship level, not yet. Anyway, you gotta. So that's good, but it's also bad because you lost to her. You stayed in there that long and couldn't finish her. That's not good for you, because that was somebody who got figured out way before the fight even started. Amanda Nunes had figured out Holly Holm and knocked her out with her signature move. So
my biggest concern about this fight for the challenger is that finding somebody to throw whirlwind shots at you like Amanda Nunes does. I don't think you can do that
overhand,
because she just goes crazy. I mean, she's just like in your face. You have to build a robot to be able to mimic that. But
got to use your knees, your legs. Got to keep her away.
She has had quite a few fights in the UFC. She's not, so I mean, she knows what to expect as far as just the level of competition. But Amanda Nunes is just, she's so tough.
Megan Anderson's got to use her size. That's all she has. Knees and legs, and just use them, man. Amanda Nunes has to get close to you, so knees to the body. Don't go for the knockout shit yet. You'll get it when you see it, if it's there. But she has to get close to you. So knees, man, just knees. Unless she gets her leg, unless Amanda Nunes comes out there and leg kicks her to death, then it's over. Like if you see Amanda Nunes throw a leg kick straight there and then landing real nice, that shit is over. That's what she did to Holly. Well, she didn't do that to Holly Holm, but she lined her up perfectly. If you see Amanda Nunes lining her up, it's good night, Irene.
Right. So do you think Megan Anderson only has a puncher's chance, or you think she's got other skills that are going to help?
No, and no skills. It's only because she's bigger and that puncher's chance. She's a bigger fighter. That's it. She really not. It's not to take away from her. It's just that the skill level it takes to beat Amanda Nunes is the only person that I would even say has a chance is Valentina Shevchenko, which is an extremely high skill level. I would say they're even, although Amanda beat her twice. I would still say that they're pretty even. I would probably pick Valentina every time they fought, but still, what I'm saying.
Right. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Who'd you pick?
If I'm going to, what I do in this case with this one in DraftKings, is I would probably pick Nunes. She's still going to get points. Let's look and see the prices though. Let's see. We got Nunes is 9,600. That's like she's the top.
Yeah,
she's the top fighter as far as which you're going to pay. So the other young lady is 6'6", which that's getting close to 666. So I see that number. The devil's telling me to bet on this one. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, yeah, we got that's the prices. So she's going to be an expensive one to have. Israel Asanya's expensive.
Yes.
Peter Yan versus Aljamain Sterling's actually a much closer spread between the much closer divide between the two fighters as far as buying into them.
Yeah.
But see, this is the great thing about this card, because you have viable. I believe that all these challenges for these fighters, these three that have the belts, these are all really good challenges for these fighters. There's scenarios in which case all of them have a chance, and it's just hard. Vegas is no ways they're going to have Nunes versus Anderson be a close thing, because nobody's going to bet on Anderson unless there's a big. She's a big dog, so they can make some money if they hit it. Yeah. So, but I think these are really good challenges for everybody, and it will set the table for the next round of fights for all of them. So I think it's I'm excited. I think it's going to be a really exciting card. So let's swing over to
Wait, who'd you put your money on?
Swing over to the.
Let me get your pick.
Like I said, if I'm betting, in this case, I would do Amanda Nunes favorite to win. I wouldn't have her on there because she's just too much of a favorite at plus negative 900 or whatever. So if I'm on DraftKings though, I don't have a problem taking her as my top point getter. I think she's going to do well, and if she does as well as expected, she might even get a knockout. So, because I think she's going to do the Tyson on her, or attempt to.
That's what I'm thinking
so,
too.
So with Megan Anderson, she's cheap, and as long as she don't get knocked out in the first round, you're going to get some points from her, because she's going to throw. That's what she does. She's going to throw. Yeah.
I think that shit might be over.
That means it's going to be points.
I think it's first round, early second. If all of these are first round, early second, if it's going to be a knockout, which I'm thinking first round, early second.
Yeah.
But all three might end in the first round, late in the first round.
Yeah, there's a real, like I said, there's a real cool bet in Vegas right now. You can bet all the cards.
Yeah,
I mean all three championship fights, like all win, or all by knockout, or all by submission, or all by decision. And they have that all combined. It's pretty cool. Let's go to the main event.
Yes.
Real quickly, 27-8 versus 20-0. Let's see. Israel Asanya's got a 80-inch reach, so he's about 2 inches longer reach, the same leg height. The big difference is, and you know what, Jan Bakovic has shown that his punches got sting.
Yeah.
He's
got a chin
75%.
Too. He's got a
75% of his wins are by knockout. And Jan has 30% of his wins are by knockout, 33% are by sub. So he does have, and he can hurt you and take you out even when he's grappling you. The question is, man, you try to go in and grapple with Israel, man, you might just get quachanged and kicked in the head, or I mean, he has no problem taking that chance when those guys come in with knees and elbows and
Silva and Gastelum tried.
So.
Silva and Gastelum tried, and they fucking failed. Like Gastelum had the most success,
right?
He was able to take him down, but he didn't really get anything accomplished,
Right.
And that's a problem too, because his gas tank isn't going to run out. So having Israel on the ground and not doing anything is almost a detriment to you, because you're spending all his energy and he has a bigger gas tank than you, which is also a problem for Jan. Right. I'm not saying he's a slouch. I'm saying Izzy's gas tank, and he's going to be able to perform at a higher level at a longer time than you are. This is how it's going to go.
So here's the question here is that you have Israel Adesanya, who's got, I mean, he fights at a lower weight. Okay. They're going up.
Yeah.
I mean, Jan is a true light heavyweight who, I mean, he's going to be stronger naturally, and getting punched full force by someone who's bigger, even though Israel's 2 inches taller than is 2 inches taller than Jan. I mean, maybe Israel's walking around the way to light heavyweight. I don't know, but it's that realization won't happen until we're in the 5-round fight in the UFC here coming up tonight. And it may be that he ends up having to fight a little bit differently because once he gets touched, if Jan can look in that little window and go, oh, peekaboo, bam, and then, if he can do that, and Israel goes, ooh, I don't need to be hit by that anymore, he may have to do more of a, jump in and mess around and get out type thing, and, that's where Jan may be able to capitalize. That's where I think that's the main thing. Will he be able to take that power? And if he can, he'll win.
I believe
he's
so.
He's going to be stronger, too.
I don't think. Well, here's the thing.
He's going to be bigger, so he's going to be stronger, too.
If Izzy catches that shot, it's over. If anybody catches it, anybody, like the whole point,
right?
Anybody will be done. John Jones, I don't give a damn who you put.
No. There's a sweet spot on everybody. Yeah, man.
So he won't be able to take out that. He won't be able to take that knockout punch, but I think he'll be able to take his regular punches. Like people thought Paulo Costa and Yoel Romero were going to touch Izzy, and they never did. Right. Not really. I mean, Paulo Costa got some shots in, but like they didn't do shit. Right. Like we didn't do a fucking thing to Israel Adesanya. Kelvin Gastelum got in shots. He's no slouch. Didn't do anything.
All right.
He gave Kelvin Gastelum gave Israel Adesanya the most problems. I had scored it against Israel Adesanya, but to me that fight was more of him fighting like Floyd Mayweather,
right.
So that's why I scored it against him. So for people who would ask why I would do that, So sure. But Kelvin Gastelum at the same time, if I'm not mistaken, he lost that last round, like the fourth or fifth round, he lost pretty easily. But point being is, unless you can mimic what he did but with more power, you're not going to fare very well against Israel Adesanya. You're not. It's just because
right.
He can, you can ragdoll him. You can try anyway. You can get him to the ground. What are you going to do? The point is, you will always the fight starts standing up. I don't know, right. I don't know what you're gonna do, but it starts standing up. That's the problem for everybody who's the underdog. Aljamain Sterling can talk all that shit. It starts standing up, and he already said, which I hated. He said, it's not the first or the second takedown. I'm like, who the fuck told you was going to get a third? Who told you that? If you going in for a third, but he has no idea what he said. He doesn't. He's just talking out his ass because he's a fighter. Promoting a fight, that's great. But when you go in for a third, as you just said you will, and we all believed you would, that's it. Like, so if he has a game plan and we can see it, it's not going to be it's going to be a long day at the office for him. That's not to say Israel Adesanya can't get touched, but it doesn't look like there's no record saying that he's really going to get touched with some shots. Like if, let's say you try to pepper him with shots and try to just kind of get in there, I don't think that's going to work. If you're looking for the knockout shot, you got to be in the right place at the right time, meaning you definitely about to take some shots, and that's not smart. So I don't see an easy path to victory for Jan, but I guess I did bet on him because that's where the money is. So who are you betting on in that? Who are you betting on in that fight?
The Jan fight?
Yes.
I have. We went back because we were talking about them earlier. I think. This is a tough fight.
Yeah, you didn't make that pick, man.
I love both fighters. I think they're going to throw down. I really do for a bit, but it's going to be. I would have to take Peter Yan. I really do.
No, Israel Adesanya and
no. Okay,
yeah,
you were just talking about him. Okay, so
yeah, because
okay,
yeah.
Jeez, I'm going to say Israel. I think,
you didn't pick an underdog yet.
Well, no. See, now it's different. Me picking the winner is not what I'm doing on DraftKings. Okay.
Oh, okay,
understand that. Okay, remember on DraftKings, it's not just who wins, but it's who's getting points for you and how much you paid for those points, right? This is what's great about this, because if I'm doing the Vegas stuff, I'm going to pick some long shots off those dogs just by, if they, like if the person does get that knockout punch because they've got it and they get that lucky punch in, do I want to risk a couple bucks because the numbers, pay better for that dog like that? So it's, that's the kind of thing that's fun with that. But I in my head, what I'm thinking is that Israel's just at a different level. There's like two or three fighters at any given time that just you feel like they've transcended and they've had that epiphany, and like everything around them so much more calm than for the regular high end. There's just those two or three that are just and he's one of them. He really is. He has fate on his side, I believe, and so I just can't go against that. Now in DraftKings, though, I have no problem taking Blachowicz because I think he's going to get points. He will. I don't think it's going to be. Remember what I said last week?
Right.
I said if I was going to put money down on that fight, it'd be Israel second round.
Yeah.
Right. That was my thoughts. Since then, remember I said that after I let it simmer. So I don't think. I think it's going to go a little bit longer than that. I don't think it'll go to a decision, but I think that it's going to take a bit for Israel to take that big risk and have it pay off. So that's where I think it'll happen. It's third or fourth round. That's where I'm at.
That's where I am. Like my picks are definitely not my DraftKings picks. I picked all dogs, but I see the champions I could easily see the champions retaining. That's most likely what will happen. That's what I think will happen. I think we could have two title changes. I'm thinking that on a betting terms, if I were a betting man, sure. I think there might be 2 out of 3. I really want Israel Adesanya to win because that means John Jones cannot run from it. There will be a man in his face that he will have to deal with. And if he doesn't, he'll never be the GOAT. I mean, a lot of people don't have him as the GOAT anyway, but if he doesn't face Israel Adesanya after he takes that belt and calls him out, you can't respect that man. You can't. This is fighting. It's the world of fighting. Right. You go your ass down there, lose his weight, and fight him. You're like, no, I'm on the bigger, better things. And guess what? Israel Adesanya will find his ass at heavyweight too. And when Israel Adesanya moves to heavyweight, we're going to hear some new shit about John Jones. Watch. I guarantee you some shit comes out about John Jones and that fight never happens. The fight's not going to happen. I know it won't. Either Israel Adesanya loses tonight or he wins and John Jones never fights him. Guaranteed. Guaranteed he'll never fight him.
Before we get done here, because we're going to have to wrap it up here in a second, one last fight I wanted to go over, and it's back earlier in the card. I think it's second in the regular prelims, not the early prelims. There's Song Yadong versus Kyler Phillips. I believe that this is a fight that you might want to look at taking the dog. I think that this is a fight that Kyler Phillips can win. Song Yadong is the 14th ranked fighter in his division right now. But I like the intangibles that Kyler Phillips has, and I think that's one of my dogs of the day. This is dogs of the day. This is I like what I see, and I'm looking forward to seeing. I think this is a really good thing for DraftKings. I think you're going to be able to get some points off this fighter at a reasonable price. Being a dog, you can always find a good bet, in Vegas on him, if you just want to play around and get some action. But I would really look him up. If you don't know him, check him out. And I think that he's got a good chance of doing a win. There's so many other fights on this card I'd love to talk about, but it's just getting towards that time.
It's all good. We can always talk about him. We can also do a breakdown, at a later date about it, because I definitely want to go back and do that and show people why you bet it the way you did, because I know some are going to come right up to the wire. The odds do change, people. They do. Yeah. So someone may not, let's say someone has a nagging injury that comes out and we all know it. That's definitely going to be something that changes odds. It might drop them. It might raise them. So you got to keep your eye out for that. You got to keep your ear to the ground and to these streets, to listen to what's going on, or Google it, what's a website, real quick, what's a website you could go to that just give you good information on Vegas odds and stuff like that, so people can kind of.
Well, you can just set up. You just go to bovada.lv.
Okay.
Let me make sure it's still LV because they jump around. Bovada.lv is a real good site to go to. And, I mean, it's kind of the numbers. Just make an account. You don't have to put money into it, but you're going to see all the the highs. But you know what? Here's the thing: UFC is taken on and help with the gambling thing. So all you got to do is go to UFC.com, go to the event, and it'll actually tell you what the odds are. Yeah. So I mean, it's actually. UFC's tied it in now. I mean, they already were doing that in England and Europe, but for some reason America wasn't allowed to have the betting. And I think it's because there's only certain states that allowed it. But
right.
As you know, California passed that law, and within another year or two, you can go to any bar that's pays the money and place a sports bet.
Yeah,
so,
boy.
I mean, you're going to be able to do it right from machine. I think it's
be a lot of broken legs in this motherfucker. Yeah. I tell you that. a lot of motherfuckers in wheelchairs in bars. Man. So in 5 years, you'll see a lot of people in wheelchairs. You'll be like, "Why, Daddy? Why is he in a wheelchair? He fucked up. He's betting nothing but dogs, and the dogs came and tore that ass up."
Yep.
All right, well, take us home, Frankie.
Well, listen, you've been listening to the Fantasy MMA Weekly podcast with Sean Covington of MMA Torch and the Internet Dungeon Master Frankie Swa. We'll be around next week, and of course, at any time you can hit us up off of MMA Torch or on Twitter. I believe it's just MMA Torch on Twitter as well, right? And Facebook.
Yes, MMA Torch.
Or we have the website as well. Getting things moving at the MMA Torch website, and hit us up if you love doing this as much as we do when it comes to the putting together the fantasy MMA teams and stuff like that. We'd love to hear what your which ways work effectively for you, and we'll share some of our secrets too. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.